Namaste, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on codependency. I'm going to talk to you today about the root causes of codependency. What are some of the consequences that are the result of being raised in emotionally neglectful homes, why you should care, and talk about some of the things that you can do. You cannot fix a hole in the wall that you cannot see. And what governs reality are patterns, period. That's what governs patterns. This is why when an apple falls from a tree, and it rots in the ground, we get another apple tree. We don't get a banana. This is why those of us with childhood trauma, we tend to attract similar situations to our childhood dynamics. It's why if I was raised by a codependent mother, I'd become a codependent mom myself. It's why if I was raised by a codependent mom who had no sense of self, who was addicted to pleasing my dad, I become someone who has no sense of self, and I become subconsciously addicted to what other people think about me. I don't wake up and think, what do I think about me? How do I feel? I immediately go into the rumination of the day. What does Mary think? What does Mary need? What does Sam think? How do they feel about me? How do they feel about what I said? Oh no, my husband was a little quiet yesterday. What did I do? Oh no, my daughter didn't text me back right away. Oh my God, what did I say? We go into all this self doubt. Why? Because it represents survival. Because as children, when we were being raised, we learned to associate love and connection with obedience, love and connection with the slave master relationship, where I became a slave to the big people in my house. A slave to what? To their moods, to their attitudes, to their opinions. And when they were invalidating me and ignoring me and not meeting my natural unmet narcissistic needs to feel like the center of someone's world, when that was happening, no one took account as to what the consequences were to me psychologically, what the consequences were to me emotionally, what the consequences were to me on a neurological level. When a child grows up feeling unseen and there's chaos in that house, let's say mom is borderline, right? Or mom is an alcoholic, or mom is cheating on dad, right? I hear about this. A lot of my adult clients have lived through that scenario where mom is just not stable and mom doesn't get it. She's not there for me. She's screaming all the time. She's always putting down my dad. There's always different men in the house. When she gets frustrated, she slams things on the table. She tells me I'm a pain in the ass. She makes me feel like I'm a burden. She keeps running me around from this boyfriend's house, from that boyfriend's house. I'm terrified. There's nobody here for me, right? What happens to that little boy or that little girl? All of those emotions have to go underground. The body keeps the score. That's what we call anxiety. Now, we don't have the coping skills to address how we feel. We don't even know how we feel. We don't have the coping skills to honor how we feel. Why? Because at a neurological level, which is not our fault, at a neurological level, I am always on the lookout for the next attack, might be next chaotic moment, next shoe that's going to fall, next verbal assault, next put down. So I have to stay in this hyper state, which means I'm not attached to myself, which means I'm dissociated from my internal universe. And that is not my fault, which means that I get through life as a kid stuffing. It's stuffing, paying attention to how to avoid abandonment. So what do? I become a chameleon. I become super empathetic. I become a super empath. And I'm able to tell what people need me to be so they don't hurt me. I become codependent. That's one thing that can happen. Sometimes we get stuck in the fight response. So it's like now what we do now is like Rather than fawn after approval, we demand approval. And so I do something and you don't reach my expectation because I'm not a whole person. I'm not a whole person. I'm not a whole person. I'm not managing my internal universe very well because I'm not a whole person. How my personality, especially if I have an aggressive parent that taught me to behave this way, it becomes my coping strategy. So if you don't do what I think you should do, my feelings get activated of powerlessness. And the way I cope is I fight you. I argue with you. I one up you. And that's how I compensate for this sense of loss of power, because relationships become all about power. When we're fawning, we gain the power through subjugation. Certainly, this person won't leave me if I keep becoming what they want me to be. Certainly, this person won't be as abusive if I keep saying, yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I should have known better. Yes. So that's how a fawning codependent maintains power and control. Let me figure out what this person needs me to be: a rescuer, a nurse, a therapist, a banker. Let me figure out what this person that I've attached to needs so that they never leave me. If we fight, we still attach to people. But what ends up happening is that I am going to now, if I have a fight response to trauma, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to demand you see me. And when you don't, you're going to pay for it. Then some of us flee. We're so avoidant, like, no, relationship's too painful. No, thanks. I don't need any help. No, thanks. Not coming to that party. Please stop inviting me to the Christmas party. I don't like people. So that's our trauma response. It's not healthy, but it's a pseudo sense of safety. Some of us completely dissociate. And what'll happen is that we don't even acknowledge how we feel anymore, right? Like we don't even acknowledge how we feel. None of it's healthy. Today, we're going to address the codependency part of it, because I think it's one of the trauma responses that many people can relate to. And this was my trauma response. Although, please know that when you have childhood trauma, you can fight, you can freeze, you can fawn, and you can flee. Like if you have a conflict in your relationship, you can completely freeze, not fawn, not fight, not flee. You could completely like freeze, like you're frozen, right? Why? That's not the adult you. That's not the highly cognitive, the highly self-aware you, which you have to break through to get. I don't want that to get lost in the sauce here. Like childhood trauma arrests you with a certain level of neurology that is below the veil of consciousness, and you just keep replaying that trauma. The good news is Creator, infinite wisdom, has endowed us with the ability to think about the way we think. We want to talk about our feeling as codependents, even narcissists. This is what I feel. This is what I feel. That you should care about how I feel. Feelings aren't facts. What? Say that to a codependent who feels disempowered by an alcoholic husband, or vice versa, alcoholic wife, who feels so powerless in the relationship, who can leave, like we're talking about someone who can leave. Maybe they have a job, maybe there's family that can help them. But a codependent feels like they can't leave. They can't leave, but they can, right? So maybe you know someone, and maybe that person was you. It was certainly me. I complained, and I complained about my ex-husband, and I complained about my mother, and I complained about my brother. I complained about my sister, never realizing until I had my breakdown that led to my breakthroughs, my feet were never stapled to the floor. There was a way out, and I left and got out with 3 kids and no job, no family support. So this whole story that I told myself, I can't leave, I can't leave, I actually could. I could have left. But it was a story in my head. Why? Because my inner child was powerless. So here I was, a big girl, having sex, having babies, running a business, running a home. I was a little girl who felt stuck, who kept trying to please her mother in that relationship with my ex-husband. So what was going on? I was unconscious. I was in a pattern. I was below the veil of consciousness. I had no metacognition. The crazy thing about human beings, I think, is that we all think we're conscious. We all think we're conscious. We could be so unhappy. We could be unhappy at work. We could be in the wrong career. We can be in a really uncomfortable, toxic relationship. We could be killing ourselves with what we eat, and we could be killing ourselves with what we're drinking. We could be really destroying our lives and never think about the way that we think. Like, why am I doing that? Why am I not loving myself? Why am I not trying to make things better? Why am I spending more time explaining why I can't improve my life than I am on how I can improve my life? Oh my God. None of us are stuck unless we don't do something. That's it. Human beings are designed to heal. They are designed to expand. But when you're codependent, trauma arrests you and you don't know it. And then in your adult life, you have a feeling and you're in denial and you rationalize the feeling. Oh, my spouse made me feel abandoned. Why? Oh, well, he wanted to go to a hockey game with some of his friends and I wasn't invited. Okay. When you're a codependent, that's like an offense. That will trigger you, right? Because your partner should make you the center of their world, right? Why? Because you do everything for them. So when you're codependent, you are doing everything for everybody else, but it's for a reason, albeit unconscious. And then when your partner just wants to do something with his or her friends, it feels like a huge offense to you because it triggers your abandonment wound. So this is me. I was a little girl having babies, living, had a sexual life with my ex-husband. We built a business together. Like, I'm running this house, I'm running this family, I'm kicking kids out. Like, I was a child mentally and emotionally. And when my life came to a screeching halt it really wasn't a screeching halt. It was like a slow burn. It was like death by 1,000 cuts. When I did not like what was happening in my head, it was like, like I was so committed to my ex-husband, like making it work. And all of a sudden it started to turn where I was just like, what would happen if I wasn't with him? And I could feel myself like making excuses for thinking about what would it be like to be with another man. I'd never thought about that before. I was so loyal to him. But when those thoughts started to creep in, I thought, we're in trouble. And I owned it. And I said to him, we're in so much trouble. Like, I'm thinking about like being with somebody else besides you, and I don't want to go there. Like, and he was like, oh, you're just having an awakening. No accountability. I mean, if my partner would say, I'm thinking about like what it'd be like without you with another woman, I'd be like all ears. Like, how can I fix this? How can we fix this? No, just he didn't care, or he could not. He didn't have the ability to process what I was saying, which is why I felt so invisible. And as a codependent, I just kept stuffing that down. I didn't have the words. I didn't have the wisdom. I didn't have the awareness. I didn't have the tools to acknowledge, oh, that's what this is. Like, he's not capable of processing what I'm saying. No wonder I don't trust him. No wonder I don't feel safe with him. No wonder I hide my feelings from him. No wonder my skin starts to crawl when he creeps across the bed and I know that he wants to have sex. No wonder. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm part of the problem because I'm staying in the cycle, but I'm not acknowledging how I'm feeling. And I've always thought it was my fault. And I'm looking to him. I'm changing myself, hoping that will change him. That doesn't work. I'm in love what could be if we work. I'm ignoring what is. And when a doctor said to me during a severe asthma attack, he said I was breathing with less than 20% of one lung. I had gotten so used to breathing through a cocktail straw. Imagine picking up a baby and putting her on your chest and carrying groceries up the stairs, right? Just imagine breathing through a cocktail straw. That's how bad my asthma was. I had gotten, and that's another sign of emotional neglect in childhood. You don't know how sick you are. You just keep going. You're so used to ignoring yourself. You just keep going. So I was breathing with less than 20% of one lung. And I went to see my doctor because I knew something was wrong. I did not know. I did not know how sick I was. I knew there was something wrong, really wrong. By the way, the nurses and the doctor were treating me, rushing me in the back, putting me on a gurney, hooking me up to an IV and putting an oxygen mask on my face. Like it was like all hands on deck. That's because he ignored that I was sick. My mother ignored that I was sick. And so without healthy mirroring and empathy, I just thought, I guess maybe I'm making it up. Maybe I'm not as sick as I feel. But anyway, this day I went to the doctor and the doctor said, you better listen to your body because your body is listening to you. There is no physical reason for you to be this ill. And I didn't even like that doctor. I thought he was a predator, actually, the way that he touched me and the things that he did. I was like, you know. But when he said that, I just kind of looked at him. And you know, when you have these moments in your life where it's just like someone says something and it clicks, you don't know. You don't have the whole big picture, but you know, whatever this person just said, sometimes it's the lyrics of a song. Sometimes it's a sentence in a book. Sometimes it's a bumper sticker. It's like what Carl Jung talks about synchronicity. But when he said, you better listen to your body because your body is listening to you, I just went, and I remember there was spit coming out of my mouth in the oxygen mask. And I was kind of annoyed, but at the same time, it was just, my body's listening to me. My body's listening to me. My body's listening to me. And I couldn't let it go. My body's listening to me. So at that point, what happened was I was so afraid of dying, like literally dying, because he told me if you fell asleep, you would not wake up. And I thought, my babies, I would leave them to him and his family. No, I can't do that. So that's when suddenly I mattered, not in a narcissistic way. I mattered for them. And suddenly, true to a codependent, what I could not do for me, you bet your ass I could do for them. I will fight this battle. I will fight you. I will fight your family. I will fight my family. I will let you ass all go. If that's what it means to save my kids, because I'm not leaving them behind to this crazy shit. Like I haven't figured it all out yet, but this shit's batshit crazy. This is wrong. So that started me on a journey of like looking within. I went to maybe my 5th or 6th therapist at the time. And I said, I feel crazy. I don't know what's going on. And blah, 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 blah. Long story short, he said, you're not crazy. Just like what Melody Beatty says, you're not crazy. But you are codependent. And when you're codependent, you feel crazy. Right. And that's all he basically said. Oh, and he also said, like, if you're the adult child of an alcoholic, all grandparents and my uncles were alcoholics. I think my mother was a dry alcoholic. My father was he was a gambler. All the men in our family were gamblers, including my brother. And so there was addiction and there were problems on top of codependency and narcissism, which is also what happens too. Where there's codependency and narcissism, there's usually an eating disorder or an alcoholism, gambling, pornography. There's something else going on besides the codependency and narcissism. There's depression, there's anxiety, there's something else. It usually doesn't exist in a vacuum. And so that really, it was so profound for me because finally, after like, by that time, I'd probably been in therapy on and off for over 10 years, on and off, looking for help. And no therapist had ever pointed me in this direction. So now I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm in on it. I'm in on it. I'm codependent. What does that mean? And when I went and got the book Codependent No More, I froze in Barnes and Noble. I was like, and I knew intuitively, if you finish this book, your life will never be the same. And I really had to think about it. It was like ding dong, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. I had to contemplate like this author knows me. She knows my bones. She knows my thought process. She knows the mind games I play. She knows me. And she's saying codependent no more. Does that mean marriage no more? Does that mean no more family relationship? I didn't know. So the fear of remaining codependent and brainwashing my children to be codependent, and I was so unhappy. I was so unhappy. And the idea that my kids would be me one day, like I was my mother and my grandmother, I could just see the generational pattern. I was like, hell to the freaking no. Lisa, whatever it's going to take to be codependent no more, even if it means ending this marriage with no job, because smart aleck me quit college to get married and have babies, because that's what my husband wanted, right? And what he wanted was more important than what I wanted, right? Submit, whatever makes you happy, babe. You want me to quit? I'll quit. You want me to have kids? I'll have kids. You want to move into this house that I don't want to move into? I'll move into this house, right? I will just love you enough and everything will be fine. That was the 23, 21, 22, 23-year-old me. This lady knows better now. Doesn't work. But I didn't know what I didn't know then. The idea of my children becoming codependent was so terrifying that trumped the fear of staying stuck. And that's the power of love. That's the power of alignment. That's the power of commitment. Screw motivation. Trust me, I was not motivated to wake up every day and find out what the F was wrong with me. I was not motivated, but I was committed. I knew I had to see what was wrong inside my head. And what was wrong inside my head was my belief systems. And changing your beliefs is like trying to change your eye color. But you can, but not unless you don't give up. You cannot give up. You cannot give up. So that's my intro into this webinar. I want to say that it is possible to heal from codependency. It is possible to heal from playing mind games with yourself. You have to, codependents and narcissists, they live in denial, they rationalize their emotions, and then they project. So it's just inverted. Codependents and narcissists come from the same childhood homes. It's just, how does my emotional neglect and emotional abuse, psychological abuse, this severe neglect, this all sorts of different abuse. It could be physical, sexual, mental. It could be indifference. Like, we don't care. Oh, you're home from school. Who cares? Oh, the key's under the mat. You could be a latch kid. You can be a latchkey kid since you're 5 years old. No one's coming home and mirroring, you deserve to feel safe. When you have unmet narcissistic needs as a child, unmet natural narcissistic needs, what does that mean? For a 3-year-old granddaughter, when she walks into the room, since she's been born, she is center stage. Whatever that baby needs, with boundaries, we are training her what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. She's got to be fair. She can't hit, right? She can use her words instead of, I hate you, which she says, I don't like you. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I still love you, right? We have to meet children's narcissistic needs for feeling seen. Why? That's how you fill up their love tank. Now, if my granddaughter gets enough of positive affirmation and positive validation and positive mirroring with healthy boundaries, right? Then she can go into kindergarten one day. Hi, my name is Claire. What's your name? No insecurities. She's wired for connection. Now, Joe is mean to her. She's like, what's up with that banana? And she walks away. Oh, I don't like Joe. He's not nice to me. She doesn't, oh, Joe comes from a bad background and I have to take care of him and love him and teach him that he's enough. We don't want codependent Claire. We want solid foundational Claire. That's what we want. When children don't have their natural narcissistic needs met, then they don't stop needing to have those needs met. A codependent is more, I would say, covert about getting their needs met. So I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to have 3 jobs. I'm going to bathe the kids after a long day, but you owe me. You owe me. And when You don't do what I think you should do because I don't have the maturity to tell you what I actually need. I just expect you to read my mind. And when you don't do that, I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to use overgeneralizations. You never listen to me. You always do this to me. You always do this to me, right? So now we're martyring as codependents. A narcissist is more overt about it. They demand that you do what they want you to do. We both come from the same type of home. It's how is it getting expressed? So when I'm a codependent, I subjugate for you. You become the master, you become my king, my prince, my queen. And I see myself as less than you. And I see myself as trying to figure out what you need. And then I twist myself into a pretzel. If you're really ornery, then I will forget that I have needs at all. If you have paperwork that needs to get done, I'll do it. I'm your gal Friday. I'm your handyman. I will be everything to you, but I will come at it from an empty place, hoping that your little pat on the head will be enough to make me feel fulfilled. Okay. That's how this plays out. And you know what? People go to their grave playing out these roles. Not me. Not me. I am so grateful I see it. And I'm so grateful that I spent the years and I'm still going through recovery, but at least I have the tools. At least I have the tools. It's like a carpenter that doesn't have tools. What good is that? So I'm a codependent with tools. So I consider myself a master carpenter. I know that what my default setting is. I know what my propensity is. I'm very familiar with codependent pangs, but I am the first one to call them out. Not today, codependency. You are enough. You don't over-explain yourself. You don't defend yourself to people who try to make you feel like you're not doing enough for them and you know that you couldn't do any more for them. No more. Sorry. You don't think about people in ways that give you a boost of worthiness by taking care of them, by taking care of people who should be able to take care of themselves. You don't jump in to rescue people anymore. You don't do that. You don't tell people how to live their lives. Really hard as a codependent coach with 6 kids and 6 adult spouses. So it's like Anthony and I have 12 kids. You know how hard that is? But that's recovery, dear ones. It's like, you want me, you got to ask me in. You got to ask me in. I'm not telling you what to do anymore. And then you got to do the work. And if you don't do the work, then your life is going to play out cause and effect, just like mine is. But I'm going to do my work and I'm going to model healthy for you. And I hope that you learn from me. If not, I'm going to emotionally detach because I'm not going down with the ship. Doesn't make any sense that you go down and I go down with you. It's not going to happen. I'm not codependent anymore. I have to stay on top of it though. Okay. There's so much empowerment in self-awareness and in metacognition and in radical self-accountability. The issue that I feel that people struggle with is like, okay, big mouth life coach, how? So I think that's what separates me from a lot of people in this space is that because this was my journey, the childhood trauma, the passive aggressive, codependent, narcissistic mom who was codependent on my father, very, very, I would say, almost evil towards me, trying to make me feel bad about myself, the triangulation, all of it, like the emotional, psychological, verbal abuse that I endured, developing codependency and an eating disorder, and not being very nice as a codependent either very often. I wasn't nice. I judged you before you judged me. I lied to my friends when I was 12 years old. I couldn't understand, why do you want to be my friend? Like, my mother hates me. So I became what I thought they wanted me to be, right? When I was 12. And then when that went to kaput, I was like, that's it. I'm never going to be in a relationship. It's too hard. And I saw myself like living in Manhattan as some legal secretary alone. I literally had that vision of myself at like 12. And then when that went to crap, like I even thought about taking my own life. Like, it was so bad. And to retrace the steps and see, my God, it all goes back to me not getting what I needed when I was a child. Holy Hannah, lions and tigers and bears, none of this is my fault. Neurologically, psychologically, cognitively, mentally, and emotionally, I could not be any other Lisa than the broken Lisa I am today. I could not be. I could not be anybody else. It's sort of like if you put a plant in healthy soil, grows up pretty well. Flowers, it blooms, does great for 80 years. Let's say this big oak tree, 100 years, 150, 200 years. I mean, when I went to Alaska, we saw trees that was 1700 years old. Awesome. Beautiful. But you take the same potential of that tree and you put it in crappy soil, and there's no protection from the storm. And there's no vitamins. There's no nutrients in the soil. That tree doesn't grow up well, and it's all rickety and raggedy, and it doesn't give off a lot of oxygen and no flowers. We don't blame the tree. Now imagine if that tree had consciousness. This is the codependent. This is the abused adult child. The tree blames itself for not blooming. The tree compares itself to the 180-foot oak tree. I'm just not good enough. There's something wrong with me. And then it pretends to be a 180-foot tree, but it's really not. It's empty on the inside, and none of it is the adult child's fault. That was a fantastic awakening for me. That was another, because I had a series of breakdowns that led to breakthroughs, which is why my podcast is Breakdown to Breakthrough, because it was all of these breakdowns, like it could be no other way. And it really, first it was me. I had to get myself straightened out for me and my kids. Like, get your shit together, lady. Like, this family's nuts. Like, they're trying to hurt you, right? Like, you tell the truth and they're trying to hurt you. They're lying about you. Like, they're so envious of you. They're so angry that you're not drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, you can't keep subjugating yourself, seeking your mom's approval. You can't keep being afraid of your father's invalidation. You got to face it, mama. And so it was like, I had to face the storm for me and my kids. But once I got through that and I found a new normal, took a while. I got divorced. Oh my God. It was tough. I got divorced. Well, no, I didn't get divorced first. That took 4 years because he refused to sign the papers. Last bit of control. That's what people who are highly narcissistic. You want to know if someone's a narcissist? Tell them no and watch how they respond to your no. How dare you? How dare you? And then they have to dominate you. Narcissists leave you for dead. They have to destroy you once you say no more. That's how you know you're really dealing with a freaking narcissist, is how they respond to your, I don't think this is working out. Right? It's terrible. It's like they're vampires. They have to suck every ounce of blood out of you before they walk away. And then they have to then they'll discard you, right? Okay, fine. It took a long time, right? But now I realize that in all of those interactions with my ex-husband and what was going on with my family and his family, baby, you were just sharpening my blade. Once I knew I was codependent and I was dealing with emotional immaturity, I'll be nice. I believe covert narcissism. I think pathological narcissism. Well, I won't be so nice. Pathological narcissism of a family, because that's what it was, like parasites. Like, it was a gang mentality. You did not think like them. You were out, and they set out to destroy you, to destroy your reputation. So once, as I was detaching from that, I look back, I'm like, baby, you were just sharpening my blade, because I'm unstoppable now. There's no more enemy inside. When the enemy is no more inside, when you start loving yourself and taking accountability and you focus on healing yourself, and you're like, what's broken? Got to fix it. What's broken? Got to fix it. What's broken? Got to fix it. Glad I see it, because now I know there are holes in my wall, but now I know I can fix them. You become unstoppable. There's no enemy on the inside, no enemy on the outside. When you no longer worry what people think about you and you say, namaste, I give you permission to think about me any way you want. I remember my ex used to say, because I used to have curly hair. Well, I have curly hair, but I blow it out. And I used to be blonde. And he would say, so who are you today? Mariah Carey. And then let's say the next day I blew it out. Oh, today your mother's trying to be Cher. It's these stupid, immature things that you say to the wife of your children in front of your kids, right? All you're doing is teaching them how to be bullies and brats and not accept responsibility for what's happening in their life. But whatever. it was incredible to become immune and to give him permission, because I no longer was affected by what other people were thinking about me. I understood that as a codependent, I was addicted to what other people thought. I was addicted to the control that gave me, because it was a very scary place to not control how people saw me. And once I learned that, I had to teach myself to basically like button up my tongue and sit on my hands and say nothing, to shutty. Give them permission, give them permission, give them permission. It's not here for you to fix it. And wow, did family respond to Lisa not shaking in her boots anymore when the insults came. It's like, okay, no problem. Namaste and walk away. Give you permission. Yep. Okay. Yep. Sorry you feel that way. Your anger is not my responsibility. I'm sorry that you perceive me through that lens, but I give you permission to do that. I'm no longer affected by what people think about me. You know why? These days, I worry about what I think about me. These days, I'm asking myself how I feel about me. I don't really worry about what you feel about me. I'm more concerned what I feel about you now. Ooh, isn't that different? You bet your ass that's different. People that are unhealthy don't know what to do about that. And so, oh, she's crazy. Oh, she's always impossible. Oh, she's too needy. Oh, she thinks she's uppity. Oh, I don't know who she thinks she is. Let them talk, right? Give them permission. That's what I did, give them permission. So that's what we have the potential to heal. So I want to, please, if you have any questions that relate to this webinar or to the 12-week breakthrough coaching program, please leave them in the Q&A. I will answer them at the bottom of the hour, which, well, at the top of the new hour, which we are approaching fast, because I am passionate about this. Okay, so let's talk about some, because I think that if you don't understand the severity of codependency, and you don't understand that you can go to your grave codependent and never really having an authentic thought, that motivates you, because we're all on the way to croaking. Come on, can we be big about this? We're not going to live forever. Okay. I'm one day closer to the grave, and so are you. Just saying. Oh my God. It is true. Everybody is. Everybody is. My dog is. Pet salamanders are. The butterflies are. Okay. That's how precious life is. And if you're codependent, you're not living your best life. You know what? It was like the fear of death that caused me to say, F this. What do I got to do to fix this? I'm not dying like this. I'm not leaving my kids here. What do I got to do? Bring it on. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. So talking about the fact that we are mortal and we're all one day closer to the grave, right? Like if you've been dealing with some crazy nonsense in your toxic relationship and you think you got forever to figure it out, you don't. So I'm going to talk about the sad truth, because I want it to be really brought to your face to realize what's at stake here. So understand why you feel broken. Understanding why you feel broken is the first step towards becoming whole. So what is childhood emotional neglect? Emotional neglect is not always about what happened, but what didn't happen. It's the absence of consistent attunement, consistent validation, consistent comfort, consistent emotional responsiveness from caregivers. Not mommy's okay on Monday, but mommy's drunk and out with the boys on Tuesday. And I'm hungry and no one cares. And then Wednesday, mom is out of it. And then Friday, she's loving again. No. That hurts a child, because I can't develop trust. Children in these environments learn their feelings don't matter, or that their feelings are too much. So their natural needs are just too much. So what do? You suppress them. You make believe you don't have them when you're codependent, but they're still there and they come out sideways. The brain's response to emotional pain in childhood. Let's talk about the brain. The developing brain is highly sensitive to emotional cues and safety. When love is conditional or missing, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes overreactive. Okay, so it should be calm. It's not when you're codependent. It's not. When you have trauma, it's not. It's a hyperactive. That's not your fault. That's not your fault. When love is conditional, this is what happens. The child's nervous system becomes wired. Okay, imagine that your brain is a computer app. It's a phone app. So, oh, you had a crappy childhood? Oh, no one was there for you? I have to wire you now. I have to wire you for hypervigilance. not safety, not trust. You're an app. You have the childhood trauma app. You will be hypervigilant the rest of your life and codependent or narcissistic or avoidant or dismissive, or you'll isolate. Those will be your options if you have childhood trauma and you don't intercede. So you'll be wired for shame. Everything will be your fault. You'll be afraid that everyone's talking about you and you are unforgivable. And you'll have a chronic rejection sensitivity. No one's rejecting you, but you feel like they are. And then you project that. The child's nervous system becomes wired for these states of consciousness. Now, oxytocin and dopamine pathways needed for connection and pleasure are underdeveloped or misused, leading to emotional confusion. So you don't have oxytocin flowing through your brain. You, dear one, have cortisol. And what is cortisol doing? Destroying your corpus callosum. What is the corpus callosum? It's the bridge between your left and right brain. Left brain logical, right brain emotional. That's why you can't make sense out of what you think and what you feel. I'm working with a trauma survivor now, and he's constantly saying, like, I get so confused. I get so confused. When I talk to my wife and she says, that's not true, that's not the way it happened, I realize that she's right. But why do I still feel this way? Because you're in trauma, dear one, and your corpus callosum has been destroyed. The good news is healing can rebuild that bridge. You have to get you out of that CPTSD reaction and expecting everyone to abandon you, because when you expect people to abandon you, you actually become so ornery and judgmental and project and accusatory to feel safe that you actually push people away that love you. The brain associates connection with needing to earn love if you're codependent, creating a blueprint for emotional dependence. Remember, someone who's highly codependent versus narcissistic, they have a blueprint for needing to earn love, where a narcissist will demand love. So very, very different, but we come from the same childhoods. Why this leads to emotional over-reliance on others in adulthood in codependency. Without learning to self-soothe or validate our feelings, adults look to others to calm their anxiety, define their worth, and provide direction. So codependents can be great CEOs, brilliant surgeons. I'm coaching a brilliant heart surgeon who's codependent. But in a marriage, subjugates to the husband. He's going to make all the decisions. He decides everything. And she's confused by this, right? I'm not. It's childhood trauma. There is a subconscious belief that if I can keep others happy, I will finally feel safe, worthy, and loved. So the belief is subconscious. Remember, the brain or the mind is 95% subconscious. You're only 5% conscious. So the 5% conscious that you are, think about this, is really only able to acknowledge the 95% of the subconscious mind that makes it into the mental field. So the average human person, and studies have revealed this, the average human person thinks they're aware, but they're not. The average person driving down the car is pissed off at their wife or whatever, pissed off at their husband, pissed off at the kids, whatever. They think they're thinking. They're not thinking. They're feeling, and then they're thinking about their feelings. But that's not really thinking. That's reacting to a feeling. All outside of conscious awareness to this idea that the belief comes first, then there's a feeling, then you think about the feeling. Then what happens? I'm talking about someone who's unaware that they're unaware. There's a belief, subconscious, childhood trauma, subconscious, habitual patterns. Okay. We talk about habits. We think about smoking, right? Thinking is habitual. Proven. Science is proven. Researchers have proven that most people recycle their thoughts. More than likely, the 20,000 thoughts that you had on Friday are a mirror for the 20,000 thoughts you had a year ago. Are you really thinking, or do you have a belief that creates a feeling that you're thinking about that now affects the words that come out of your mouth, all outside of consciousness, that affect your behavior, that affect the manifestation, that affect the relationship? So you have a belief that you have to earn love. So you keep earning love. And then what happens is your husband or your wife proves that you screwed up. So they make you feel like you're not good enough. So you're in this loop of, see, I have to keep earning love. I didn't get it yet. I didn't. So it goes back to the beginning. So your manifestation equals your belief, but you can't see it until now. Okay. Until now. And the 12-week breakthrough coaching program can help you hack that part of your brain. So there is a subconscious belief that if I can keep others happy, I will finally feel safe, worthy, and loved. And you will stay on that loop because it's subconscious. So why you may try to fix others. I was a big, oh my God. Like I was like, I can fix them. I can fix them. You know why? Because as a child, I thought if I can fix my mom, then she'll love me. If I can prove to her that I love her, then she'll love me. If I can fix my dad, if I can fix my brother, which I finally kicked that addiction. If I can fix my sister, finally kicked that addiction. If I could fix everybody, we'll be a happy family. I was 7. It wasn't my job to fix freaking anybody. It was my job to be loved. It was my job to receive love. It was my job to be myself. It was their job to love me. It was their job to see me. It was their job to make us feel safe. It was their job to make me feel worthy just because I breathe. It was their job to prove to me that I am worthy, even if my behavior is unacceptable. Where you have to teach a child that you are innately worthy. I didn't like your behavior. I didn't like the words that came out of your mouth, but that's not you. Next time, do this, right? It was their job to do that. It was their job to get me to neurologically wire for safety and protection. It was their job to be trustworthy, to not disappoint me. Okay. It was their job to not judge me, not blame me. It was their job. It wasn't my job. But because I felt I took it on as the codependent, and some siblings become narcissistic. That's why a lot of my clients are like, I am so codependent, but my sister's she's so selfish and she's so narcissistic. And my brother's so narcissistic. He makes everything about him, and I'm the sibling in the relationship, the family dynamic that is just trying to get everybody to get along. Like, and no one really cares about me. Very, very common. I love what Gabor Mate says. He says, you could have 6 children in one family. None of them had the same childhood. None of them had the same childhood. So don't get caught up in my sibling sees it this way and I see it this way. Forget it. Don't even worry about it. Focus on your perception, because your perception is what's created your neurology. And that's what we have to address. So helping or fixing others becomes a survival strategy that keeps abandonment at bay. The child self inside believes, if I make you better, maybe you'll love me back. This behavior becomes compulsive and deeply tied to identity. I am valuable when I am needed. So think about this. We talk about this in the 12-week breakthrough coaching program. It's all about your beliefs, because your beliefs determine your behavior. They determine your manifestations. This is why you're not getting what you want and you keep getting what you don't want. You don't see it, right? But if you can see it, you can change it. And it doesn't happen with an awareness. It happens with practice and new tools, new strategies, new wisdom, new resources, and a totally new organized principle for how you live your life, which is possible. I'm valuable when I'm needed. What is the opposite? Because that's the pleasure part of it. But the brain is governed by pain versus pleasure. That activates the reticular activating system, which is telling your brain what you should be doing. And that's all outside of consciousness. Most people aren't even aware of that. We know more about our cell phones and more about how an app works on the phone than we do about the childhood trauma app in our brain, the codependency app. Right? But if you learn the codependency app, you can hack it, which is incredible. And that's what I'm all about. The tools, the knowledge, the wisdom, the framework that you're not going to find someplace else. Talking about why you're codependent makes you worse. Now, if you talk about why you're codependent and you have tools to fix it, right? Because we can get stuck. Psychologists know that we can get stuck blaming mama. At one point, we understand this is what happened. What am I going to do with it? Okay. So, because we can't keep blaming our mothers and fathers forever. We pin the tail on the donkey so we can understand the self, and then we take off. That's how the man and the woman steps forth. Okay. Very important. So the pleasure part of it is, which is addictive, I'm only valuable when they need me, which this is why women back in the 70s, when they did research, women, mostly women who were married to alcoholics, began to lose themselves in identity when their husbands went into recovery. Who am I if I'm not the caretaker? Who am I outside of complaining about my husband? Who am I if I'm not marking the whiskey bottles? Who am I if I'm not lying for him? Who am I if I'm not full of anxiety? Who am I if he gets healthy? Why? The women panicked, right? The family members panicked when the alcoholic got better. Why? Because their brain associated love with being needed, safety with being needed, right? So their identity was tied to being needed. So the pleasure part of it was I'm valuable and I have identity if they need me. What's the opposite of pleasure? Pain. What does that mean? So on below the veil of consciousness, there's pain, and your brain will do anything to avoid pain, real or imagined. Are you kidding me? Why are they teaching this in kindergarten? Whatever. But now below the veil of consciousness, my brain will do anything to avoid the pain of the opposite of this equation. So pleasure is associated with being needed. Pain is associated with not being needed. Oh, I better make sure that I keep being needed. You stay codependent forever. That's not your fault. So let's talk about why you settle for crumbs in relationships. And then I'm going to get to your questions. You internalized that love is earned and inconsistent. Love is earned. Right. So every boyfriend, every girlfriend, I'm earning their love. That's a pattern. That's the codependency app. You normalize emotional starvation because that was your baseline in childhood. Wow, I never really get my partner's love. I never really get empathy. I never really feel seen or understood. That's your codependency app. Being ignored, minimized, or mistreated feels familiar. And familiar feels safe even when it hurts. So my brain associates safety with familiar, even if it means I'm being abused or ignored or consistently in one-way relationships. Yep. It's codependency app. Deep down, you believe you're not worth more, and settling feels like the best you'll get. Yeah. You don't think that you're deserving of love because no one treated you like you were. And so deep down, you're like, well, maybe it's me because I'm not worthy of love. So, I'll just settle for this crappy relationship. I don't really feel seen or heard, but it's probably the best that I can get, right? Rationalization, denial, rationalization, and projection. So what it takes to start healing. Number one, awareness. Name the neglect, release the shame, understand it was never your fault. Now, this is a synopsis. This ain't going to heal you, dear ones, but it'll spark some awareness in you because you have to start somewhere. And hopefully, many of you will either take the next live 12-week breakthrough coaching program or you'll take it on demand because it'll offer you the tools and the resources to finally heal this. So awareness, name the neglect, release the shame, and remind yourself that this was never your fault. Do some inner child work. Reparent the abandoned parts of yourself with compassion, structure, and love, which is what the 12-week class will offer you. You have to learn what it means to stabilize your nervous system. People with CPTSD are easily triggered by abandonment or, this person is not talking to me or they're upset with me. We don't know how to deal with the outer conflict, which causes tremendous cognitive dissonance and terror inside of us. So the 12-week class will help you stabilize your nervous system. But whether you do it with my class or you do it with some other form, nervous system regulation is key. You have to learn the tools to soothe your body and reclaim your emotional safety internally, despite what's happening externally. You need to understand boundaries. Begin saying no without feeling guilty and yes without fear. So yes and no. This is not always possible. You set a boundary even though you feel guilt anyway, because a feeling is tied to a belief. If you keep setting the boundary, eventually the belief will shift. I'm worthy of saying no. You have to counter the belief with something more logical. I don't have to keep saying yes. My mother can be upset if I say no. I don't have to worry about my mother being ornery. She was always ornery. So I'm 38 now. and I'm afraid to say no to my mom, but I'm going to start setting boundaries with her. And I know she's not going to be happy, but that's okay. I can deal with the fact that she's not happy. I'm going to set the boundary anyway. So you set the boundary, even though you're afraid anyway. And then you work towards dismantling the belief. Self-reflection and metacognition, which is what the 12-week class, the 12-week breakthrough method is an expert on. Catch the internal stories that keep you chasing approval or rescuing others. With metacognition, we elevate your ability to think about the way that you think. Codependents are not thinking about the way that they think. They have a belief, they have a feeling, then they think about the feeling, then the words come out of their mouth that match the belief, all subconscious. We hack that. Consistent support. Healing emotional neglect requires repetition and safe, attuned environments. So coaching, therapy, or trauma-informed communities can help you heal. So let me talk a little bit about the 12-week breakthrough, the benefits of the 12-week breakthrough program, and then you can make your decision. So what is it? It's a brain retraining program that is powerful because it targets the root causes of codependency, which are subconscious beliefs formed in childhood that govern behavior, your perception, and emotional responses in adulthood. How do we do this? It's neuroscience-backed rewiring. Codependency isn't just some pattern that you can just fix because, oh, I'm codependent. No, it's a neural loop. The 12-week breakthrough method helps interrupt those loops by teaching students to become conscious of old survival strategies like people-pleasing, self-abandonment, and emotional over-reliance on others. And also, you're coming out of denial, you're dealing with your rationalizations, and there's no more projection. So we're teaching you to become an adult. No more living through the inner child. Through repetition, through journaling, which is neuroscience-backed journaling, metacognitive prompts, and inner child work, new neural pathways are formed that align with self-worth, boundaries, and emotional autonomy, which is what you deserved when you were a child. So it also helps with subconscious reprogramming. Early childhood experiences form our internal data, the app in our brain, our operating system. If you were raised to believe love must be earned, your subconscious still runs on that faulty script. So you keep doing it. You will not bump into the guy at Whole Foods picking up avocados that is emotionally healthy, that sees the beauty in you, that can appreciate you just because you're you. You're not tuned up for him. You won't even believe you're worthy of him. Off your radar frequency, you will attract and draw into you your family patterns, your familiar. This program helps you identify, challenge, and replace those limiting beliefs with the ones that affirm your innate value. Even when you're not needed, even when you're not rescuing, even when you're setting boundaries, and even when you're not fixing anyone. Cognitive behavioral integration. Through consistent lessons and reflective exercises, students develop the ability to think about what they think, metacognition, allowing them to respond rather than react, a key step in reclaiming personal power. Emotional regulation and inner safety. Codependents often live in a constant state of anxiety. So like I said, codependency and depression and anxiety coexist. So it's really incredible. When you address codependency, the anxiety lessens. When you address codependency, depression lessens. It's incredible. Depression is anger turned inward. It's repressed anger. Anxiety is repressed emotions. Codependency is we're acknowledging all of these emotions. We're learning to express these emotions. When you address codependency from a higher state of consciousness, you reduce anxiety. I know because I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. It was not anxiety. It was codependency. It was undiagnosed childhood trauma, damn it. It was me in a toxic relationship acting out my family patterns. Hello, in therapy for 10 years. Even went to CODA. Like this was not addressed. Hello, I needed help. I needed help. I needed a set of blueprints to get me out. And when it wasn't there, I decided to make one myself, which isn't like need and necessity, the mother of invention. I invented this program because I needed it. It wasn't there. I created it because it's what I needed to address me at the subconscious level. So emotional regulation and inner safety, this is what we address in the program. Codependents often live in a constant state of anxiety. This program teaches self-soothing and nervous system regulation techniques that help you feel safe in your body without outsourcing that safety to others. So you're taking all your power back. When I wrote The Road Back to Me, I had no idea that I would create the 12-week breakthrough method or the Conscious Healing Academy. Yeah. But I can see the freaking beauty of it now. It's like, Lisa, you came back to the self. You stopped seeking your mother's approval. You gave her permission to think you were a little bitch. Like, you gave her permission. Okay, Mom. Okay. You can only see me through your shattered lens. I get it. It's not me. And I'm not going to do this to my kids. I'm not going to fawn after your approval. I'm not going to subjugate. I'm not going to let you be my master. Like, I'm going to be the master of myself. And my kids are going to learn autonomy and sovereignty. And you know what? If they got to tell me to buzz off one day because I'm not being correct, I want to give them the confidence to do that. So think about whatever you want, Ma. Are you kidding me? That's incredible. Now, the other thing is that we develop spiritual alignment. Beyond psychology, this program incorporates spiritual principles rooted in love consciousness, helping you return to your innate divine self. So we do use language like the divine self, right? Because you're more non-physical and you're more spiritual than you are made of matter. But the part of you that is, let's say, your pain body, that ego, that Eckhart Tolle talks about, refers to ego, that's very real to you. That's very, very real to you. And your beliefs are very real to you. And your beliefs are really what's the root cause of the effects in your life, right? How can I possibly have a 15-year relationship with my husband, Anthony, that is so opposite of the relationship I had with my ex-husband? How is that even possible? Because I changed. I took control of my non-physical energy through my mind. Once I organized my mind, it wasn't easy. It was repetition and consistency and commitment. And I saw everything as an opportunity to sharpen the blade. And eventually, every time I fell off, I was just like, okay, what did you learn? Just get back on the horse. Like, it's that level of grit. So beyond psychology, this program incorporates spiritual principles. And I believe that I'll just say it. I don't like that psychology just carves out spirituality and spirituality carves out neuroscience. I don't like it. It doesn't even make sense to me because what I think I am. So, and what I think is not just psychology, it's spirituality. It is neurology. It is physiology. For women, and men will probably, if you ever loved a woman, I'm just going to say it. When it's that time of the month for us, when we get our periods, like, we see things that are not there. I'll speak for myself and my daughters. Like, you moved the cookie. How could you did that? Because our emotions, our physiology affects the way that we think. It affects the way that we think, right? And if we're lucky enough, we recognize it's PMS, it's our hormones, it's our physiology. If I don't address holistically all of who I am, is it stress? Is it cortisol? Is it adrenaline? What is it? Is it dopamine? Is it oxytocin? What's happening? We address this in the program. Why? You have to know how your body works. You have to know how your mind works from a higher state of consciousness, because that's the only way you get to be your own puppet master. Otherwise, your subconscious mind is running you, and that's not a real life. That is not a real life. So we help you return to your innate divine self, where you realize that you are enough. You are always enough, whole and worthy, independent of external validation. So it's you reparenting yourself. So ultimately, the 12-week breakthrough program offers a structured, soul-centered system for rewiring your mind, realigning your beliefs, and restoring emotional sovereignty so that you can create a life based on choice rather than childhood survival. Once you graduate from the 12-week breakthrough method, then you are qualified to take the 8-week masterclass. I do not suggest These aren't going to work. I do not suggest that people jump from the 12-week class into the 8-week master class. It's just too big of a jump. We have to break through first. You have to gain some ability to understand your thoughts from a higher state of consciousness. Once you realize, oh, it's not me, it's just my program, then we can master your focus more and help you align with a future desire. Now you're starting to understand like how thoughts create reality, and you're not as triggered, right? Like you're not as triggered. You're like, okay, like this happened to me, but I'm not going to blame my mother and father forever, or my husband or my wife. I'm not going to do that, or my kids. I'm not going to do that. Like I have the ability to change my life here. So the 8-week class is what you take after the 12-week class. From the 8, and once you graduate from the 8-week class, then you can go on to Soul School, which is a 10-week course in the quantum science of love consciousness. This is where we go into nitty gritty of quantum mechanics, but I can't teach you quantum mechanics if you're still struggling with codependency. So this is really a mirror for my personal journey. And I now see the beauty of it looking back, but I can promise you that when I wrote The Road Back to Me, when I was a personal trainer, working 3 jobs, including cleaning someone else's toilet bowl, and all I felt was, wow, if my brother-in-law who took his life, who was the adult child of 2 alcoholic parents, if he knew what I knew in this book, maybe he wouldn't have taken his life. I had no idea. I had met Anthony. I had no idea where my life was going to take me. I just had it on my heart, like, this information is saving me and it might save someone else. And it saved me so much to the point that I manifested Anthony into my life, but I was still a personal trainer. I still had a personal training business. I had no idea that I was going to keep going. This is the beauty of unfolding. This is the beauty of loving yourself and returning back to the self. Your life only gets better once you heal from codependency. It only gets better. And I am honored to be here with you today. I am honored that you follow my work. I'm honored that you listen to my meditations. I'm honored that you've ever read a book, bought a book, follow me on YouTube, listen to my podcast, like in one of my Facebook groups. I'm so freaking honored. Like I am you. I'm not any better than you. I'm not any better than you. I figured something out and I didn't give up. And now I spend my time trying to figure out, how do I help other people get unstuck? And you know what? When it's time for me to croak, I'll feel good about the way that I spent my life, because so many other people have benefited from my pain. And I've turned my pain into something that other people can benefit from, and my kids have benefited from. So I'm good. I'm good. No more blaming my mama. No more. I understand what happened. No more blaming my papa. No more. I'm good. And I want to help you do the same. So I want to answer your questions. So if you have any questions related to today's webinar or to the 12-week class, I'd be happy to answer it. First question. I want to say thanks for today. I just set a boundary with my mom and she disregarded it. It's the time. It's the wrong programming for me. And I wish she could love me as I am instead of trying to make me into the version she wants me to be. Thanks for this webinar. I missed the first 20 minutes. Will there be a shared recording? I couldn't find the other sessions. So email me at coach@lisaaromano.com and we'll be happy to send you a link with the other webinars. This might be 5 or 6 in the series. I love that you are aware and that you set a boundary. Just please be aware that that's just the first step. That if there is neural wiring for you tied to beliefs that you have to please other people, or you have to twist yourself into a pretzel to try to figure out how to be enough for a person, these are subconscious beliefs and they should be addressed. So thank you for being here. coach@lisaaromano.com. Next question. How did you start thinking good about yourself? I know I'm codependent, but there is this feeling on my shoulders and stomach that says I'm not good enough. Sucks. Well done. I'm so proud of you and glad you made it. Thank you. So Grace, it started with the awareness that, oh my God, like I don't feel good enough. And that's because I didn't get my needs met as a child. And because my mother and father were so below the veil, they were adult children of alcoholics, very controlling. Our house was governed by, I would say, a dictatorship. Like there was no freedom to laugh. There was no freedom to feel. There was a ton of judgment, embarrassment, humiliation, and criticism. There was a lot of indifference, a lot of, you're a burden. There was a lot of that. And when children grow up in that state, it's growing up in oppression. And so I didn't feel good enough. And children are so narcissistic and egocentric that they assume that other people's inability to love them is their fault. So that's the stain of codependency. That's the shame of codependency. And so once I saw that, it was like, oh, wait a minute. Like, that's why this is why I feel this way. That's why I attract, you know, the people in the gene pool that are like, like them, like they mirror like all of my own dysfunction. And I'm trying to be good enough for this narcissist. Like, why? Because I didn't feel good enough. But it wasn't enough. That's why I realized that it's not enough. It's not enough to cognitive, like, oh yeah, okay, I don't think I'm good enough. Okay, I'm enough. BS. Because your childhood programming is so ingrained that you have neurological pathways that's associated with this type of thinking. It's all subconscious. So even though mentally you're in therapy and I'm enough, and you're like going to the gym and I'm enough, and you're setting boundaries, I'm enough. If you don't get to the subconscious level, then you're always going to boomerang. So it started with awakening, it started with awareness, and it started with me reprogramming my mind. Next question. Hi, Lisa. I'm a graduate of your 12-week program. I am retaking it because I want to dig deeper. Your comment on now knowing our own feelings is so profoundly true and had been consistent in my life since day one. I am in loose contact with my ex. We are friendly, albeit guarded with each other. Now that I understand what happened and realized my inability to express my true feelings, is this a discussion I should have with an ex? Thank you. It's not enough meat on the bone for me to give you an educated, wise direction. I don't know if your feelings were, if you got the sense that your feelings were irrelevant. I don't know if you felt safe with your feelings. I don't know if your ex was a good communicator. I don't know. You're going to really have, what I think happens inside the 12-week class is that your ability to discern becomes greater. Like, we all need better discernment. Like, what's my part in it? What's someone else's part in it? Like, you're not a functional, complete adult unless you can do that. You're some immature version of you, which is not your fault. It's not your fault. But hello, it's like, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? Like, so I was not a complete whole person when I met my ex-husband, not by any stretch of the imagination. And my codependency, the illusion, the bullshit that I told myself was like, I'll just love him. I'll just love him. And then he'll love me back. It's an illusion. It's an illusion, right? And so here I was thinking that I'll rescue him because I could see his trauma. But really, I wanted to be rescued. And he wanted to be rescued too. He didn't want to be responsible for himself. He wanted a mommy to come in and be responsible for all of his affairs. Right. And then when I expected him to show up like an adult, he got angry. He felt controlled. Oh, so toxic. Whatever. My poor kids were raised in that. What are you going to do? Right. Like, I'm learning. But my point is, when I started to take accountability for myself, I finally found a therapist who I could talk to. And when you go to therapy, you got to be willing to tell them everything you don't tell anybody else, because they can't help you. Or if you have a life coach, you've got to be willing to tell the life coach the stuff you don't tell anybody else, because that's where the dysfunctional thoughts start to arise. And that's where, if the relationship's really toxic, somebody from the outside can see something that you're not seeing. So important. It all ties into codependency, radical honesty, and radical accountability, like radical self-awareness that I'm not lying anymore. I'm not lying anymore. You got to be able to leave it all out on the table, because that's where your true resurrection comes from. We're all our own savior. We all save the self through the mind, but we need systems and processes to do that, because the old systems and processes are going to keep us stuck. Having coming through this, I've developed systems and processes that help me get unstuck, and they help other people get unstuck. It's fabulous. But to answer your question, I don't know enough, but what I can tell you is that you have to use your spiritual discernment to be able to identify, well, did I feel safe? Did I feel safe? Or did I just intuitively know not to express myself because I knew it wasn't safe? So I love that you're a graduate of the 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for showing up for these webinars. Thank you so much. And thank you for retaking it. When it's sort of like you watch a movie the second and third time, you see things, you hear things you didn't see the first time. Because the first time you were a version of yourself the first time you watched the movie. The second time you watch the movie, you're a different version of yourself. So you pick up something you didn't the first time. It's like, was that in the movie the first time? Because I didn't see it the first time. Mm-hmm. You watch the movie a third time, guaranteed you're going to hear and see and make a connection to something you didn't see the first and second time. That's why consistency is so important. I just reached out to one of my son-in-laws who just recently completed the 12-week class. I'm like, dude, are you still meditating? He's like, nah. I said, are you still in the you still visit the program? Nah. You do any personal development work? No, only your stuff. When I listen to it, I'm like, dude, you need repetition. You want a new life, you need new thoughts. You want a new life to show up, a new blueprint for your reality. You need a new blueprint inside first, right? So what I'm trying to say is good for you for retaking the program. You're going to hear things you did not hear the first time. That's why my recommendation is the first 12 months you own this program, go through it 3 times. Trust me on this. I created it. Go through it 3 times. So maybe go through the class again and then take more accountability for how you feel. And as the layers of denial and rationalization and projection, justification, all of our ego defense mechanisms start to fade away, you'll be at a better place to discern, like, maybe it wasn't just me. Maybe it was them too. That doesn't mean that you can't in your own head take accountability for your part in it. I did that with my ex. But he was just like, oh, I don't want to hear it. You're crazy. I was like, all right, well, I just wanted to make amends. I'm sorry. You could sit with us during our kids' graduation from college. Why would I want to sit with you? I was like, oh, okay. He didn't grow. Right. But I still, listen, I tried to make amends. Right. Fell on deaf ears. Okay, no problem. So it's also manage your intention. Manage your intention. So don't attach to an outcome. This is something that we teach in the 12-week class. Don't attach to an outcome. But I would like you to take the class again and see where you are at the end of it. It's worth it. You've spent so much time in the relationship. What's another few months or another few weeks where you gain a little bit more clarity, a little bit more accountability before you can make that decision? Because I do think there's a danger in opening up that vein, too soon. Hope that makes sense. So Jay here, I can't tell you how this information feels like oxygen. Oh, yes, you can. Because that's exactly how I felt when I started to put the pieces of the puzzle together, dear one. To a starved soul. Sometimes I fear I am the narcissist. I have been told in therapy multiple times that I'm not, but I have this inner voice that says I'm so deeply defective and waiting to be found out as a fraud. That's very common for codependents because nothing that we ever did was enough. Our pain was never believed. So why should I believe myself? Right? I always felt like imposter. Even when I wrote The Road Back to Me, I was like, I feel like imposter writing this book? Like, like I questioned myself. Is my intention for writing the book as pure as I think it is? And then sure as shit, what happened was once the book went public, what did my brother do? My brother called my ex and said, we're done with her. She wrote this book to get rich. You don't get rich writing books anymore. Just saying. If I make a couple of bucks on, a royalty, it's a lot, right? And the amount of money it takes to promote a book, it's sometimes you're in the negative. So when you are crying and someone says, "Oh, you're a drama queen," you're Sarah Bernhardt. You don't trust your emotions. You don't trust yourself. You feel like a fake. You question, am I looking for attention? In the program, what we teach is like, of course you were looking for attention. That's how children know that they're loved, by attention. But a narcissistic parent makes you a problem because you need attention. because they're annoyed that you need attention. Because in the moment that you need attention, you're not focusing on them. You want something from them. And a narcissistic parent doesn't give, they take. So of course you feel like a fake dear one, and that's not your fault. I experienced childhood and as emotional traumatic. I experienced childhood as emotionally traumatic after dad kicked mom, and I out 4 years old. Oh my God, and his affair. But I'm forever told of how I was put first. However, I didn't ever feel that. Mom was often crying and couldn't regulate her heartbreak. Dad was emotionally unavailable and would anger at my heartbreak at missing him. This is narcissistic abuse, dear one. My stepmom was and deeply jealous of me. So just so just so to make alleviate the stress on your heart, dear Jay, is that studies prove that the most dangerous parent in a home is a step parent. The most dangerous parent in a home is a step parent. So a non-biological parent is the most dangerous adult in a child's life. This is proven, right? So it's sort of like if you think about the Lion Kingdom, and a lion has a lioness, and he has a cub with that lioness. And let's say the lioness goes out and, mates with another lion and wants to bring back this other man's cub. That lion ain't happy with that cub. It is what it is. So it's important that we realize as codependent parents, when we get remarried, it's really important who we marry. That's why I didn't get married. Well, it's not only why, but part of my consciousness when I was a single mom was like, I'll date these dudes, but I ain't bringing them home they'll never father my children. I didn't trust them. I was aware of that, but I should have never been with them, but I wasn't there yet. I hadn't learned all my lessons yet. I was still learning. I had to go through all of these emotional and cognitive milestones to get to the point where it's like, I'm enough and I'm not tolerating this. I'm ready to draw in what I deserve. I know that I'm enough. I've been through enough pain. And then eventually I manifested Anthony. He doesn't like when I say that, but it's true. Like my frequency drew him in, and my kids love him and respect him. And his kids do the same for me. It's beautiful. But everything you're saying here is very important and it's very valid. Feeling like a fake, dad was not there for you. Mom was in her own heartbreak. She could not emotionally regulate, which means you grew up feeling invisible. Then you grow up feeling, why can't I save my mom? Right. And then you feel confused and you're angry that you're mad at your mom. Like, why aren't you being there for me? But that's so natural. So then you have shame for being mad at your mom who's so broken. Everything that you're making, everything that you're saying and going through makes complete sense psychologically. It could be no other way. I'm constantly told that we're all treated the same in my blended family, despite latent evidence I'm not. Right. That's gaslighting. I'm then left feeling defective and sensitive. Well, you're being treated that way. That's why you feel that way, but you're internalizing it instead of calling out and pinning the tail on the donkey. You're allowing them and their inability to take accountability and their desire to have power over you because you as a truth teller threaten the whole kit and caboodle. So you call out dad for being narcissistic and marrying someone who treats you differently. Ooh, you're coming out of denial, dear one. And dysfunctional families don't like that. So what do we have to do? We have to destroy the truth teller, make them think they're crazy, right? You need to disentangle yourself. You need to stop enmeshing with them. You need to find your own path, dude. You need to find your own tribe. You need to get some healing done. Okay. I feel simultaneously never good enough, but also too much. I often feel like a parasite and ashamed. Can you be codependent without overt abuse and narcissistic parents? I digress, or I disagree. You had a ton of emotional neglect, and your dad walking out on you, having an affair, kicking you guys out, a bit narcissistic. Would you not say? I think so. Just because a narcissist says I wasn't, and you're treated like everybody else, and you're not, doesn't make it true. So I would say that, yes, you could be codependent and you can be angry. And when everyone's telling you it's you because you come from a dysfunctional family and you threaten the kit and the caboodle, you threaten the dysfunction because narcissists don't want to be called out. toxic, emotionally immature parents don't want to be called out. They prefer that you carry the burden. That's what happens with the scapegoat. So my suggestion, my answer is yes. And if you can take the 12-week live class, that would be wonderful. We're going to launch soon. You can go to my website at www.lisaaromano.com to learn more, or you can take it on demand at 50% off the regular price. But I would, if you're not going to work with me, work with someone to untangle and disentangle and unenmesh yourself from what sounds like very toxic experiences. Last question. Oh, Helen, I'm not looking to reconnect with them except for a platonic friendship at this time. I'm focused on my inner work. I hear you, but platonic is difficult after we've spent so much time with someone. I'm just being real, because the vibrational patterns exist between the two of you, and it's very easy to fall back into those old patterns. So you might end up being a codependent friend. So I'm not saying it's not possible. Anything's possible, but I wouldn't want you to enter into something that caused you to fall into old patterns, because it happens real fast. So we can have a false awakening, or we can think that that's what happened to me after I was separated and my ex-husband and I were like, this isn't working. The first relationship was more toxic than that one. So I thought that I was a lot more healed than I actually was. So that would be my advice to you, dear one. So that is all the questions that we have. Thank you so much for showing up for this webinar. If you are on my email list, you will get a replay within, I would say within 24 hours. If you would like additional replays, you can write me at coach@lisaaromano.com. That's coach@lisaaromano.com. If you would like a PDF of the what I read to you, including the sad truths about childhood emotional neglect and how it relates to codependency, shoot me an email at coach@lisaaromano.com. The next class will launch on July 13th. The first lesson drops into the members dashboard, a little bit about the program. This is how it works. You can take it from anywhere in the world. So we have 12 lessons, 12 neuroscience-backed guided theta brainwave meditations to reprogram you at the subconscious level. Why theta? Because you were abandoned and abused in a theta state. So all of our childhood conditioning happened at the theta level. And so the meditations are recorded in theta. So I come in and help reparent you. I come in with nurturing, loving, a voice, a tone, a frequency, and help you develop the self-compassionate voice as your own. So now my messages, my tone, my frequency, it starts to become your own. You start to talk to yourself that way. This is brain retraining, subconscious brain retraining. Neuroscience-backed journaling prompts increases metacognition. You can't fix a hole in the wall you can't see. So metacognition, 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 self-reflection, all proven to help heal codependency, anxiety, depression, you name it. Incredible. You also get experiential homework. Why? Because when your entire body is involved with the healing process, your brain heals quicker. We offer assessments. Why? So you can track yourself. So you can gauge like, wow, how much better do I feel at week 10 than I did at week 1? Assessments. Part of the live class you will be invited into a live Facebook community with me and my life coaches. Why is this important? Because you're going to get community support, not just from me, but from my life coaches and members of the community. Why is that important? Because it helps for you to co-regulate your emotions. It's co-regulation. Why is that important? Because science has proven that when you're coming out of a traumatic experience, when you've grown up the scapegoat child, you need this pseudo safe environment that can act like a family, where it's like, wow, I can actually be myself in this container. Yes, you can be yourself. Wow, there's someone that's emotionally regulated, like watching this group. Yes, me. There's a smart parent here that's not going to let anything bad thing happen to me. Yes, I'm going to take care of it. So it offers you the ability to be safe amongst other people, which enhances your ability to start trusting other people, which is beautiful. Because this is going to be the last class I offer for at least a year, because I'm feeling the need to like slow down. We have some family things happening. I'm just feeling the call to slow down. We're going to offer you 1 year complimentary access to the Breakthrough Warrior membership site. Why is that important? Because you need ongoing support. You have to stay close to the healing path. That's why I was talking about my son-in-law. Like, are you staying? And he's not. So it's like, get back on the horse, dear one, get back on the horse. The 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program offers monthly live group calls. Our next live group call is actually Monday. Every first of the month, you're going to get a new mini course. And I go over the mini course inside the live stream every Monday. It happens on Zoom. We show up on Zoom. I record those sessions and we add them to the Break the Warrior membership dashboard. This membership has most of my paid products, 4-part narcissism audio series. You can't get that anywhere else, only inside the program. The Loving the Self video meditation program, the 12-part advanced audio on codependency. I have assessments, I have podcasts, all in one container. Why is that like so profound? Because you don't have to go all over the place. Don't you love Amazon and Netflix? Why? Because you're in an app, right? Let's say, I don't need this, I need this, I need this. So I'm working off of that. Like, that's our brains like that. Like, if I have to go to 10 different stores to like find the socks that I need, I'm not doing it. If I can go to Amazon and get my toothpaste and my shampoo, I'm probably going to do that. So the membership is sort of like that. It works like Netflix. What do you want to work on today? You want to work on journaling? You want to work on meditation? I've also recorded affirmations in my voice. What do you need? You need a boost that day? Would you like to listen to a live stream? You've got a 4-hour drive. You want to listen to 4 hours of live streams? You can do that too, right? So the membership is very, very important. So we're going to give you complimentary access to that. 1-year complimentary access to that once the program ends. No sense in giving it to you as soon as you join the class, July 13th, because it'll be too overwhelming. You're going to have a weekly live stream with me every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. I'm going to record it and we're going to upload it to your dashboard. And in addition, this time around, you're going to get 3 Zoom calls with me. So after every module, it's going to be on Thursday night at 6 p.m. We haven't released the dates yet. But for an hour, we're going to have a Zoom call, show up live as a community. We're going to do a Q&A. I'm going to download that video and also add it to your program. So you're getting so much this time around. You're getting the program. You're getting an exclusive Facebook community with exclusive resources. You're getting support from my life coaches and me. You're getting 12 live streams, 90 minutes each, all recorded. You're getting 3 additional Zoom calls, all recorded, and 1-year annual membership to the Break the Warrior membership site. So I hope that I see you there on July 13th. I hope that you take advantage of this offer. And please also remember, it's also available on demand for 50% off the regular price. Codependency doesn't get better without intervention. And so thank you for being here. And I only hope that I've helped inspire you to take this more seriously and to see value in committing to the time it takes to heal from codependency. Until next time, bye for now, everybody. Thank you for being here.